Yeah, that's definitely pretty bad. Engine noises. Now there's two places where bad and scary engine noises come from. There's one place where it's more expensive, and that is the engine and the drivetrain itself. But 80% of the time, what engine noise actually comes from is something on the accessory drive, meaning something that has a pulley and is driven by your fan belt or your serpentine belt. So anything on the engine side, meaning like a rod knock or a bent valve train noise, that's the stuff that could actually, cost a lot of money. And usually anything on an accessory drive is way easier to change out. So how do we differentiate the two? Well, the absolute easiest way to do that is to actually just remove the belt and then start the car. Now, do not run the engine for very long with your belt off because, like I said, a lot of things run off of that, your alternator, your water pump, most of the time your water pump. So you really don't want to run it for too long with all of that not spinning. Now this is a 2018 Dodge Journey 2.4 liter. I didn't mention that really because this procedure goes for just about every single vehicle. They do make these longer wrenches, and this is what I'm going to actually use because I do actually have room to get it down in there. But to do this, you can just use a regular wrench. So now you're going to want to get down to where your belt drive is, and you're going to want to figure out which one. We're going to go ahead and remove this and get that out of the way. You're going to want to figure out which one of these pulleys is your tensioner. And ours is actually that dirtier pulley of the smaller two, kind of under that one right there. That is an idler pulley. But you can Google your exact engine, and I guarantee you there will be a video on how to remove your serpentine belt and find your belt tensioner. And I promise you, anybody, if you were able to find this video, you have the ability to take off your serpentine belt, and it's a smart thing to learn how to do, just to know how to do it. All right, so I've got my wrench. Oh, this stuff's always so hard to do on camera. But now, you can see I've got it on there, and we should just be able to pull this up. And now that's going to take all of the slack off the belt. See, and now we have a lot of slack. Now I can just grab the belt off of there. So now I usually like to start taking the belt off at whichever pulley is closest to me. And in this instance, it's actually the power steering pump. Okay, so pretty much like that. You will want to take your wrench back off. And you're also going to want to remove the belt entirely because you don't want to getting caught up on that big one down there. That is your crank pulley. Okay, so now I think we can just kind of pull this out now. It's going to bring that rag with it, that's fine. A pretty good time to inspect your belt. This one doesn't look too horrible. Yeah, I'll just kind of throw that there. But for now, if we start the engine and that noise is still there, that means that it's something with the engine, and that's going to be more expensive than, something that is actually ran off the accessories. So we're going to start it, fingers crossed. Place your bets now. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to connect this microphone to this light right here. Kind of try to point it at it. And everything is set the exact same way that it was before. Fingers crossed. Again, place your bets in the comments. Alright, so definitely saved a lot of money there. Didn't hear the noise that much at all. That means it's not anything in the engine, it's something with the accessories, and it's going to be a lot cheaper. So let me show you how to pinpoint exactly which of the accessories or which of the pulleys the noise is actually coming from. But what you want to do is, if you can get to any of the pulleys with your hands, you want to try to spin them. See, that one seems to spin pretty good, but you also want to try to wiggle them kind of left and right, kind of give them a shake left and right, up and down. And as for this one, I'm not really feeling anything. It seems to spin relatively well. Now, that is the power steering pump. Now let's go down to this next one here, which is brand new. So this, when you spin it, you can see it spins if it wants to. Okay, you can see it spins. And we can't really, move it, tweak it left and right. The one under it So now that one's a little bit more worn out, but you want to just spin them like that. And they should be like this where they don't really make any noise. They have the slightest little amount of resistance, meaning they won't just sit there and spin. Like this one will kind of spin, and they kind of sound like an old worn out skate. That's how you tell if like this is an idler pulley, and like I said, this one down here is for the tensioner. So those two seem pretty good. This water pump seems pretty good. Now right here is the alternator. Alternator is going to be hard to spin, kind of, but it sounds, I don't know if you can hear that. I can hear a little bit of weirdness there, but okay. Now I don't know how well this is coming in. I'm getting a little bit of play on that. Yeah, check that out. So that's not super horrible. And I think I'm pretty sure that these type of alternators are known for having kind of bad pulleys. But I will show you a way how we can figure out if it is indeed the alternator. Okay, there's another idler pulley under it. I mean, that one seems fine. Then we have down here is the AC compressor. As you notice, I'm doing all this from the top. The AC compressor seems okay. Last one for us is, I believe this is the water pump. Back here, I don't know if you even see what I'm doing at all, but that one feels good too. I'm very, very suspicious of that alternator. All right, so now at this point with the belt off, like I said, you can check all of these pulleys and everything like that. Main thing to look out for is them either being stuck too hard to turn or really too easy to turn and kind of loose. You really want to check if they're loose or not. But now, even though the alternator seems kind of loose, how do we tell for sure that that's actually what it is? I'm going to actually go ahead and put the belt back on it, and I'm going to put as much of a load on the engine as I can. Probably just run the rear defroster, and we should hear a little bit of change in the tone that the noise actually makes. So let's pop that back on and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Very highly recommend take a screenshot on your phone, Google what your belt routing diagram is, and then you can put it up on your phone, kind of like I have here. That's not it. So that way you can kind of have a reference of, you know, your belt routing diagram as you're doing it. So I'm gonna do the same thing again. I'm gonna connect this to that light and about the same spot, and I'm going to, like I said, turn it on and off, see if we can hear a difference. I can definitely hear a difference. Don't know if you can hear that, but it changes the tone, and yep. All right, so I really hope that that came through loud and clear for you, but I could hear a definitive change in the tone from the alternator when I actually put, you know, I increased the load to it by hitting the rear defrost. That's a pretty good way to figure out, you know, if you have problems with your alternator. Now, the pulley on it being all kind of wobbly and janky kind of was a smoking gun, but it's always good just to be sure. Looks like I'm going to be putting an alternator on this. Stick around for that if that is actually what the issue was. I'm going to say that it is what the problem is. So thank you for watching. I love you.